Welcome to the story of one of America's most famous passages through the mountains, the Cumberland Gap, a historic gap that has shaped the course of American history and the lives of countless people. It is nestled at the intersection of Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia, and the Cumberland Gap is often referred to as the gateway to the West, and really for good reason, because this natural passageway has served as a critical route for travelers, pioneers, and soldiers alike, each of whom left their mark on the land of today. And today, we'll be exploring the history of the Cumberland Gap and its role in the expansion of the United States and its enduring legacy today. The Cumberland Gap is a narrow passage through the Cumberland Mountains, part of the larger Appalachian mountain range, and its geological formation was shaped millions of years ago through the forces of tectonic movements, erosion, and water. And this gap, which cuts through the mountains at 1,440 feet above sea level, provided a convenient route of what is now otherwise some of the most rugged and impenetrable terrain in the eastern United States. And long before the European settlers had arrived, the Cumberland Gap was known to Native American tribes like the Shawnee, the Cherokee, and the Iroquois Confederacy, who were among the groups that used the gap as a trade route, moving goods and establishing connections with other Native American tribes across the region, particularly the Appalachian Mountains region. And for these early peoples, the Cumberland Gap was not just a passageway, it was a place of commerce, cultural exchange, and really a day-to-day survival. The gap held immense value for Native American tribes who maintained paths through the rugged terrain that eventually became part of the route for European settlers and travelers, and these ancient trails, worn down over centuries, became integral to the westward movement that would come to define America's growth. The first recorded European encounter with the Cumberland Gap came in 1750 when a British-born explorer named Dr. Thomas Walker, who ventured into the region along with a small group of companions who were also a part of an expedition that was tasked with mapping the land for the growing settlement in the region. And as Dr. Thomas Walker and his team crossed the gap, they noted its strategic importance, which by recognizing that its passage could be the key to traveling through the entire Appalachian Mountains, his journey marked the beginning of the region's slow transition into a more well-known, accessible route. It wasn't until Daniel Boone, the legendary frontiersman, came to the Cumberland Gap that its true significance began to emerge. Boone, often considered one of America's first folk heroes, led an expedition in 1775 to clear a path for settlers through the Gap. This trail, known as the quote-unquote Wilderness Road, would forever change the course of American history. The Wilderness Road and the Westward expansion in 1775 under the leadership of Daniel Boone was an expedition that was organized to create a route through the Cumberland Gap into the wild territories of Kentucky. Daniel Boone and his men faced great challenges, from rough terrain to the threat of Native American resistance. And despite the dangers, Daniel Boone and his team cleared a trail through the gap of what would become the Wilderness Road, a route that would allow settlers to travel westward into Kentucky and beyond. The Wilderness Road was the main route for thousands of settlers heading into the frontier, and over the next several decades, the Cumberland Gap became the gateway for American pioneers making their way to the western territories of Virginia, Kentucky, and Tennessee. This road, the Cumberland Gap, which stretched nearly 200 miles from Virginia to the heart of Kentucky, played a crucial role in opening up the western frontier to European settlers. The migration along the Wilderness Road was a part of a larger movement known as Westward expansion, which was a driving force behind the growth of the United States. And by the time the 19th century rolled in, over 200,000 pioneers had traveled through the Cumberland Gap, carving out homes and communities in what was now now a largely untamed wilderness. This migration would come to be seen as a defining chapter in American history, symbolizing the nation's spirit of adventure, resilience, and the drive to push into new territories. The importance of the Cumberland Gap did not end with the westward expansion either. In the American Civil War, the Cumberland Gap once again found itself in the spotlight, this time as a strategic military location due to its location at the crossroads of Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Control of the Cumberland Gap was critical to both the Union and the Confederacy. The Union Army recognized the Cumberland Gap's strategic value and sought to secure it, knowing that it could serve as a key route for moving troops and supplies through the mountains. And in 1862, the Gap was captured by the Union forces, and it became an important supply route for the Union Army throughout the war. However, the Confederates also understood its importance, and in 1863 they launched an offensive to reclaim the Gap. After a series of battles and skirmishes, the Confederacy briefly regained control of the Gap, but the Union ultimately reasserted its dominance later in the war. The Civil War did leave an indelible mark on the history of the Cumberland Gap, as both sides realized the profound military advantage it offered to whoever controlled it. Though the war eventually came to an end, the Cumberland Gap remained an important reminder of the strategic significance of the region. Today, the Cumberland Gap stands as both a symbol of American expansion and a reminder of the struggles of those who passed through it. The Cumberland Gap National Historical Park, established in 1940, preserves the historical integrity of the region, the Cumberland Gap, and it allows visitors today to explore the same natural features and historic pathways that thousands and thousands, potentially millions of people over thousands of years of pioneers, if you will, once traversed. And in addition to its role in the westward expansion and also the Civil War, the Cumberland Gap is also recognized as a critical piece of America's natural and cultural heritage. The park today offers hiking trails, educational exhibits, and scenic views, and it continues to attract visitors from all over the world. The Wilderness Road itself, which follows the path first carved by Daniel Boone, remains one of the most visited trails in all of the United States, and it allows hikers to trace the same steps that pioneers once took toward their new lives in the West. The route also serves as a reminder of the many challenges that these early settlers faced, from difficult terrain to encounters with other beasts among the wilderness, like bears, mountain lions, and other creatures. Who knows what existed way back in the day when Native Americans lived in this region, right? When they inhabited the region, there were megafauna potentially existing within this region. Giant megafauna that existed in the region, upwards of 10,000 plus years ago when Native Americans inhabited the area. So, the history of the Cumberland Gap is not just about a natural passageway through the mountains. It's about the spirit of exploration, the drive for expansion, and the enduring legacy of a place that helped shape the United States. From its origins as a Native American trail to its role in the westward expansion and the Civil War, the Gap has witnessed the stories of countless human beings, each of whom left their mark on this iconic piece of what is now American history. Today, as we stand at the mouth of the Cumberland Gap, virtually for us, of course, because we're in the video here, although we're going to be visiting it one day, most certainly, and we're going to be recording the adventure. We love to record hiking adventures here if you're new here on the channel, by the way. Speaking of, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to check out my other videos, of which are mainly related historically, archaeologically, and just all around travel and hiking, that sort of thing. So make sure to check out my other videos, my other social media, my X page, my Facebook page, all that cool stuff. And make sure to subscribe if you aren't already. Like the video if you are subscribed. And comment below what I should make a video about next. Until next time, guys, I really appreciate all the support. I love ya.